Hey, good morning, Huntsville, and welcome into another edition of Good Morning Huntsville, and happy Memorial Day to you. You don't notice the video. I'm not up there this morning. We are not in our studio downtown as it is Memorial Day, but we still wanted to bring you a show this morning, and our good friends at Walker County Federal Credit Union, they are our Monday Foundation 5 sponsors. We appreciate the generous support of Walker County Federal Credit Union, as always, to help make these shows possible. It is Memorial Day, and we wanted to take a rewind today and go back and really highlight one of our great interviews that we had earlier this month with Tara Burnett of Hearts Veterans Museum here in Huntsville. It was a great interview and a great way just to really think about our veterans today and those that have fought for us. I know it's not Veterans Day, it is Memorial Day, but when you think about the sacrifice that so many have made before us, I want you to really think about that this morning as you're waking up. And many of you are off today. Many of you are spending time with family and out celebrating family. Memorial Day, though, of course, an American holiday observed the last Monday of May. It honors the men and women who died while serving in the U.S. military. Memorial Day occurring here today. It was originally known as Decoration Day. It originated in the years following the Civil War and became an official federal holiday in 1971. Many Americans observe Memorial Day by visiting cemeteries or memorials, holding family gatherings, and participating in parades. Unofficially, it does mark the beginning of the summer season. You kind of go back and look, and I wanted to give you a history this morning as we talk more about Memorial Day. We'll have Tara Burnett and the replay of that interview from earlier this month here in a little bit. You go back and look at the Civil War, which ended in the spring of 1865. It claimed more lives than any conflict in U.S. history, required the establishment of the country's first national cemeteries. By the late 1860s, Americans in various towns and cities had begun holding springtime tributes to these countless fallen soldiers, decorating their graves with flowers and reciting prayers. It's unclear really where exactly this tradition originated. Numerous different communities may have independently initiated the memorial gatherings, and some records show that one of the earliest Memorial Day commemorations was organized by a group of formerly enslaved people in Charleston, South Carolina, less than a month after the Confederacy surrendered in 1865. Nevertheless, in 1966, the federal government declared Waterloo, New York, the official birthplace of Memorial Day. Waterloo, which first celebrated this day on May the 5th, 1866, was chosen because it hosted an annual community-wide event during which businesses closed and residents decorated the graves of soldiers with flowers and flags. Also, did you know that each year on Memorial Day, a national moment of remembrance takes place at 3 p.m. local time? Go back and look at Decoration Day on May the 5th, 1868. General John A. Logan, leader of an organization for Northern Civil War veterans, called for a nationwide day of remembrance later that month. The 30th of May, 1868, is designated for the purpose of strewing with flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of comrades who died in the defense of their country during the late rebellion and whose bodies now lie in almost every city, village, and hamlet churchyard in the land, he proclaimed. The day of Decoration Day, as he called it, was chosen because it wasn't the anniversary of any particular battle. On the first decoration, General James Garfield made a speech at Arlington National Cemetery, and over 5,000 participants decorated the graves of the 20,000 Civil War soldiers that were buried there. Many northern states held similar commemorative events and reprised the tradition in subsequent years. And by 1890, each one had made Decoration Day an official state holiday. Southern states, on the other hand, continued to honor the dead on separate days until after World War I. This information, by the way, from History.com. As we look down at Memorial Day, as Decoration Day gradually became to be known, originally honored those lost while fighting in the Civil War, but during World War I, the United States found itself embroiled in another major conflict, and the holiday involved to commemorate American military personnel who died in all wars, including World War II, the Vietnam War, the Korean War, and the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. For decades, Memorial Day continued to be observed on May the 30th, the day General Logan had selected for the first Decoration Day. But in 1968, Congress passed the Uniform Monday Holiday Act, which established Memorial Day as the last Monday in May in order to create a 3-day weekend for federal employees. That change went into effect in 1971. The same law also declared Memorial Day as a federal holiday. Some of those traditions that go on, cities and towns across the U.S. host Memorial Day parades each year, often incorporating military personnel and members of veterans organizations. Some of the largest parades take place in Chicago, New York, and Washington, D.C. Americans also observe Memorial Day by visiting cemeteries and memorials. We do have that wonderful Hearts Veterans Museum right here in Huntsville, and events taking place there today as well. Some people wear a red poppy in remembrance of those fallen in war, a tradition that began with the World War I poem. Our friends at the VFW Post have the buddy poppies. You may see those around town today if you're out and about. On a less somber note, many people take weekend trips or throw parties and barbecues on the holiday, perhaps because Memorial Day weekend, the long weekend comprising of Saturday and Sunday before Memorial Day and Memorial Day itself, it unofficially marks the beginning of summer. Today we thank and remember all of those that fought for our selfless sacrifices and protecting our freedoms, and we want you all to just really be thankful for Memorial Day and all of those that came before us. Again, let us know you're out there this morning. We'd love to hear from you here on a Monday. As always, our show on Mondays is made possible by our friends at Walker County Federal Credit Union. We appreciate their generous support in helping to promote and highlight all the good that's happening in our country. Well, as I promised earlier, I did have a chance to catch up with Tara Burnett earlier this month. We'll play that interview here in a moment. Before we do, though, I do want to remind you, too, we have a giveaway going on this week as our good friends at Vintage Market Days coming to town here this weekend, actually getting started Friday, Saturday, and Sunday here in Huntsville at the fairgrounds. We are giving away 4 tickets each day. And so all you have to do right now is just like this broadcast, comment with a hashtag. Just say, hashtag visit Huntsville, hashtag hello Huntsville. Whatever you put there, our system will pick it up. And then also share this broadcast, and we'll be more than happy to automatically enter you to win 4 tickets to Vintage Market Days. Again, that's coming up this weekend. So go ahead and send those comments. Let us know what you're thankful for this morning if you're waking up with us as well. And also enter to win that contest. Well, without further waiting, I'll go ahead and play that interview now. A little bit earlier this May with our good friend Tara Burnett from Hearts Veterans Museum. I got to welcome in now Miss Tara Burnett. Am I saying that right? Is it Burnet or Burnett?
It's Burnett.
I thought it was Burnett because I have a little piece of property in Burnet, Texas, and it's spelt very similar to your last name, but I've always seen Burnett, and I wanted to make sure I've known you, Tara. I should know this. Yeah. But good to have you, an executive director, Hearts Veterans Museum. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. I'm blessed to be here.
Well, Tara's joining us this morning. We have a lot to talk about, some great things that are happening here in the Huntsville community. And Tara, you're a big part of it, just like so many other folks, but you have a compassion for our veterans. Before we dig into all that, you know, you weren't born and raised here, but you've been here for a while, came from Houston. Let us know a little bit about your journey, Tara.
Well, I graduated in Houston from Cy Creek and came up here to Huntsville and went to work at the prison system. Went to school part-time at SAM while I was working, and met my husband, Roger. Everybody loves good Huntsville love story because most of us meet our spouses in prison. You just have to specify that, you know, he was working there and not, you know, living there. But we've been blessed. This year will be our 25th anniversary. We have 5 children. Our son Kevin is actively serving in the Army right now. Our other children are very successful and doing well. And we still have 1 child at home, goes to Huntsville Classical Academy, Gus. He's so funny. He has grown up in the museum, so he literally can do tours at 14 years old. Wow. I think he's been doing them since he was about 9. It's the best place in the world to raise a child, to learn from those veterans and mentors, and it's just amazing to see him grow that way and the knowledge that he gains from them.
You've been here, you love this community, and you know, and we love Roger too. I'm so glad that you brought him up. It was so great to see y'all last week, by the way, and we'll talk more about the Homes for Huntsville Heroes project and your property and how that is doing such tremendous work for our veterans here in the community. You know, as we kind of move into the journey, how did you get involved with Hearts?
Well, when we decided to have Gus, we had him 15 years after all of our other children. So I stayed home with him when he was born, and I took the opportunity to go back to school and got my license to sell insurance, and I went to work for Police and Firemen's Insurance Association. It's a non-for-profit fraternal organization. We only take care of police, fire, and corrections. So I got to go back to all of my corrections family and assist them with what their family needed. So I found myself having some spare time, and when our son joined the Army, I figured since he was serving our country, I needed to find a way to serve our community. And I started volunteering at Hearts. for their big events, and just, when I had an hour here, an hour there, the administrative assistant that they had left, and they found themselves kind of in a bind. Tom Fordyce was the director back then, and he asked me to come on board as the assistant. And I told him I didn't want to give up my insurance practice, and he said, well, just fit us in like you do, and we'll just be glad to have you here. So that's what I did. But shortly thereafter, about a year and a half later, Tom had to step down. He had a little too many irons in the fire. The Fordyce family is amazing, and they have a huge heart for the veterans, and they're everywhere. And so when he stepped down, the board hired me as the executive director, and I love every moment of it.
Whenever you think about the Hearts Veterans Museum, I mean, it's just, an incredible opportunity for folks in this community and all over Walker County, and quite literally throughout the country, to come by and to learn more. It's not your average military museum. A museum that celebrates the people who've served our country. I was reading some descriptions earlier on this. It talks about safeguarding our freedom, those folks, and working to secure the freedom of others worldwide. Tell us a little bit about what makes Hearts Museum so unique and so special.
Well, we're a very hands-on museum. I tell everybody our museum lives and breathes. All of my tour guides are veterans or veteran family members. All of their items are in the museum as well. So as you go around and you look at all the artifacts and the memorabilia, you also get all of the personal stories, which makes it so much different. We also have a lot of interactive displays where the children and our visitors can pick the helmets up and put them on, and experience getting in the pup tent and taking pictures. And so it's different. It's not behind glass. It's not sterile. You can experience. You can smell the fabric. You can feel what they felt. And so I have tour guides that'll actually have the children walking around in flak jackets and helmets and carrying replicas of the weapons, and they have a ball. And we're right in the height of school tour season, so it's an exciting time for us there.
It's a hands-on museum, and I think that's great. Like you said, it's not behind glass, and it really gives you that personal experience to really feel what's going on at the museum.
That's right. Yeah, we try to keep it as unique as possible. The addition of the Vietnam Wall was a fabulous thing. We started that in the middle of the pandemic, and it was amazing to see our community come together because it meant so much to them, just as it did to me, to be able to bring that to our Vietnam veterans, because so many of them can't make that trip to D.C. anymore. So having it here for them to be able to go and honor their brothers and their sisters, it meant so much. And there are people out there 24 hours a day, even when we're closed, paying their respects. It was a huge addition to our community, and we were blessed and honored to be able to do that. Billy and I, unfortunately, work together on a lot of celebrations of life. He works really hard to make sure that all of our veterans are buried with their military honors. Our American Legion here in town has an honor guard and steps up and folds the flag, presents it to the family, plays taps. We do not have the grands, though, to do the 21-gun salute, but we bring our brothers up from Willis, and they help us with that. So it's very important to Billy and I both to make sure that they're all given the honors that they deserve.
Again, Ms. Tara Burnett joining us this morning here from the Hearts Veterans Museum of Texas. Hearts is an acronym as well, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
What does the acronym stand for?
Helping every American remember through serving.
Love that. I love that. That is just amazing to put all that together. And you guys located right off 45 if you're heading north. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're at 463 State Highway 75 North.
I wanted to give you more opportunities, too, again, with Tara here, Burnett, the Executive Director of Hearts Veterans Museum of Texas, here this morning, joining us on Good Morning Huntsville. We always have to ask nonprofits, financial needs are always a necessity. Outside of finances, what are some other needs that you guys have? And is there an opportunity? Maybe somebody out there this morning is saying, I'd love to volunteer. I'd like to get involved. How can folks interact and get involved with the museum on those side of things?
Well, currently we only have 3 paid employees, and it takes a lot more than that to get everything done that we do on a daily basis. The tours that we bring in are great in number. So a lot of times we need volunteers to help facilitate moving those children and those visitors around the museum. Helping clean is always a necessity, dusting and vacuuming and all the great evils that we have to do around there. But there's just so many opportunities at our events. We need greeters. We need people to sell tickets, silent auction baskets and baked goods. And there's always an opportunity for people to be involved. It's not just about money. Of course, we do not get any federal or state funds, so we run specifically off of donations. So it is very needed, but we appreciate, I have a veteran that says the way that you show love and the way that you spell love is TIME. You give your time. And so that is more precious to us than anything.
Showing some photos right now on the website. You can go to the website, by the way, heartsmuseum.com. Again, heartsmuseum.com. Looking at the photo gallery, a Marine wall, very beautifully done, set up here to honor Marines. The pup tent that you talked about and the two-man shelter. That's a very unique display that you guys have at the museum. You mentioned a little bit about that earlier.
Yes, so the guys get a kick out of that because there's each soldier would have a half of the tent. So you would have it wrapped up and you would carry one half and your partner would carry the other half, and you prayed that you both made it back to the site to be able to put your tent up together. My board president, Ken Lee, likes to call that, he describes it to the children as his home when he was in Vietnam. And he said, you can imagine two dirty, stinky, wet Marines piled up in there at the end of the night. Neither of us cared. We just needed a place to lay down.
Wow.
But the kids get a really good sense of what it was like back then.
Do you allow this display? Can they actually go in that tent, or do you have different displays set up that they can go in?
No, that's what we lovingly call our touchy-feely section.
Okay.
So we let them get in there. We do have to slow it down every now and then because they like to see how many they can get in there at one time.
It's like Phil the Volkswagen Beetle.
Yes, like a clown car. But they have a great time in there, and there's lots of pictures. If you follow our social media, everybody likes to get in there and share their pictures in the tent.
Yeah, this is beautifully done. And Tara, I've got to be taken back. I've went over and seen the wall, of course, but I have not been physically in the museum. And now that we're back here, of course, Bridget and I are going to make it a point to get over there soon and really get involved and see more of this great museum. Again, the Harts Veterans Museum of Texas. Outside of that museum, too, I know some helicopters and some other military vehicles. How did all that kind of come about?
So we have a partnership with Texas Facilities Commission, and they are federal surplus. So when they get Hueys and helicopters and tanks and trucks in, they put it out on their inventory. All of it is donated. We do have to pay a handling fee for it to be brought on. Some of it's on perpetual loan. We will never actually own it, like the tank and the armored slant-back Humvee, the F-16. But a lot of the items we actually own, the Hueys, the OH-58 down by the road, the other Humvees and trucks that we have around there are owned by the museum. A lot of them we use in parades when we have parades in town.
Yes, it's great. Just, again, looking through some more pictures here. I love the entry and the exit that you guys have as well. Folks gathering around the flagpole memorials that you have set up as well. There's that F-16, I believe. And Billy and I were trying to figure out, after the show, if we can hop in that bad boy and get that thing fired up. We don't need Greg Smith to fly this. I think Billy and I may be able to fly this one on our own.
There's got to be a YouTube video somewhere.
Yeah,
that'll show us.
You might have a little trouble with that one. That one's not functional. But yes, it's a great piece to have at the museum.
Yeah, just great seeing all the folks here interacting again. You can just really learn a lot at the museum. Go out there and be a part of this wonderful museum. Again, the Harts Museum, the Veterans Museum of Texas. Check them out online at heartsmuseum.com. Tara, we still got a lot more to go here. We are going to step aside, take a brief break, though, and whenever we come back, I do want to chat with you because we've got more projects, or you've got more projects that you're working on, and we also have that giveaway. But we're going to talk about FOB 10 Mile. I think this is tremendous. We're going to highlight that recent event at Huntsville ISD and what the kids did to help out this organization that you have for veterans. Again, Tara, thanks for joining us this morning. Loved hearing about the Harts Museum. And this kind of segues in now to another segment. And we wanted to keep you on to talk more about your other project that you have working on. Let us know about that project and how that got started. And FOB 10 Mile, I believe, is the name of it.
Yes, FOB 10 Mile is the name of the project. Homes for Huntsville Heroes is what it's called through the high school. So it really came about as a dream. Through my job at Harts, I have found that a lot of our veterans live alone. their spouses have passed away, or they've gotten divorced and never remarried. They live away from their family, or they don't have any children. And they get to a point where they cannot live by themselves. And so I found myself running all over town, taking care of these guys, delivering groceries, taking medication, taking them back and forth to the doctors, which is kind of a struggle because when we get to the doctor, you get to the hospital, they all want to know who this woman is with them. So all of them always say, well, that's my daughter, that's my granddaughter. And I just roll with it. But during COVID, when you have 3 or 4 of them in the hospital and they call you about your dad and you have to say, well, which one? It makes it a little awkward. But we figured it out.
Playing, right? Yeah.
But we figured it out. And then my husband, Roger, you know, every time someone had a home repair that needed to be done or something, a wheelchair ramp that needed to be built, we all came in and did what we had to do to get the projects done. But we were running all over town getting these things done. And my husband one day asked me what we needed to do with our land. We have 67 acres north of town in Crabs Prairie. And we talked about improving pastures or buying cattle or doing, you know, just something with it. So I asked him if we could, you know, think about it and talk about it that weekend because I'd had a long day. Well, that night I literally had a dream like I was watching TV, and I saw these little red and white cabins in our front pasture and several of those veterans that we run all over town taking care of, walking around out there. And when I woke up, I thought, my husband's going to think I've lost my mind. But when I told him about my dream, he looked at me for a second and he said, well, let's see what we got to do to make that happen. He said, then I would, you know, they would be right here. They'd be safe. They'd be secure. We'd make sure they got fed 3 times a day. We can take them back and forth to the museum where they love going, you know, and I'd be here to help more. He retired from the prison system. So we started talking about it. And that day I went to work and I talked to my board president about it. And he started laughing. He said, oh, okay, now you're going to take us all home with you. and you know, so that was on a Thursday. And that night they had a VFW meeting because they meet at the museum. And that group of men and women, the VFW that meets at the museum, they're phenomenal. They're my right hand. They help get everything done. But they were getting ready for their meeting, and in walks this guy that none of them knew. And he introduces himself. He says, hey, my name is Kevin De Silva. Navy veteran. I was a Navy CB, but I'm the construction teacher at the high school, and I want to build tiny homes for veterans, and I need a veteran, and I need some land, and I need some help. Well, my board president said he almost fell out of his chair, and he told him, you need to go talk to Tara. So the next morning, Kevin was in my office, and so we started talking about it, and we got excited about it. And so the board had told Kevin he could do this project, but there were no funds for all the materials. So Kevin, you know, he wanted to do something with these young men and young ladies in his classes that would make an impact on their life, to give them a skill that they could carry once they graduated high school. So building these houses not only gave them all of that, but it also gave them this huge sense of community, knowing that these Huntsville kids that are building the homes in Huntsville are going to Huntsville veterans. And, you know, what better group to pick to give back to than our veterans. And so it's been an emotional process. We had no idea how we were going to get it done. We had no idea where the finances were going to come through. And so Kevin started, you know, making phone calls, sending emails. He found a guy that would sponsor $10,000 on the first home. And then he found somebody else that would match that $10,000. But he was doing all of this, and I didn't know anything about it other than the first $10,000. But then COVID hit, so we had no in-person school, and so we got kind of down about it. But I had a Vietnam veteran that wanted to be the first one at the ranch, and he said, you know, I have some money saved up. He talked to Roger about it. He said, let's go buy a shell, and you build the first one. That way we know how much money we have to raise for each one of them. So Captain Billy Joe Shotwell loaded up with Roger and I. We went out to Riverside to Cabins and More, and Norm Hunter, God bless him, he passed away due to COVID, but he sat down with us and he said, there's nothing on this lot that I will sell you. We're going to custom order a shell, and we're going to have it built structurally like a home. Wow. So that's what we did. And they delivered it to the house. But prior to the delivery, you know, God God tends to have a sense of humor sometimes. And Billy Joe started having some headaches and started getting a little unstable on his feet. So we go to the doctors and find out that he had a brain tumor in between of his brain and his skull. And so we immediately had to go in for surgery. In the place that he was renting, the landowner sold while he was in the hospital. And so the doctors came back and said, he really does not need to be living on his own anymore. So we loaded up a bunch of my volunteers from the museum and the VFW, and we went out there and loaded up all of Billy Joe's stuff while he was still in the hospital. And we moved him into our spare room until his cabin was finished.
Wow.
And Roger finished that cabin out. We had some wonderful help from McCafferty Electric, from Grisham Construction, from Ward Furniture. And then the Elks Lodge found out about it. And they stepped in with a Freedom Grant and helped furnish the home. So it's been an amazing community project.
Again, we're talking to Tara Burnett, not only the executive director of the Hearts Veterans Museum of Texas, but also the founder and director of FOB 10 Mile here in Huntsville, helping veterans. And I'm going to show an article. We were blessed with the privilege to go out and be a part of this celebration ceremony as Huntsville High School students there helping to build these tiny homes that literally from the dream that you had that God gave you to see that dream come to pass. I know you highlighted it earlier, but that had to be a tremendous feeling, seeing a dream come to pass literally right there before your eyes.
Honestly, it was very humbling. You talk to people all the time about finding your purpose, that God will show you what your purpose is in life. But I will tell you that when he gives you a vision, like I had this dream, if you're not moving fast enough, he just puts everybody in your life that you need to be there to get the job done. It's been amazing. Every time that we have said, how are we going to do this? How are we going to move forward? He's just put someone else in our life to get that done. Operation Finally Home, Rusty Carroll. Who would have ever have thought that, they would step up and say, well, we're going to fund your whole project with the help of Lowe's. Lowe's has been a huge, huge part of this. When we bought the shell and we started trying to figure out how we were going to, provide all the materials, that's when I got a phone call and answered it. And he said, well, tell me about your project. And I told him. He said, well, how are you going to fund it? I said, we have no idea. We lived in Huntsville a long time. We're going to beg, barter, steal, trade, do what we got to do to make it happen. It's for our veterans. And he said, that's not going to work. He said, you're going to make a list of what you need. And you're going to go down to Lowe's, and this is the account number you're going to use, and this is who you're going to talk to, and we're going to fund your whole project.
But, yeah, talking about FOB 10 Mile, and you had just mentioned what it stands for, is the final operating base for our nation's heroes. And showing the website here now of this project that you guys have, the FOB 10 Mile. You talked about how the name came from 10 miles from the courthouse to the front gate. And think about like old times, whenever you see the population or the mile markers for a city. I was asking somebody once, it said like 26 miles to Austin. I was like, we're in Austin city limit already. And they're like, I researched, they said, no, that's to the first post office from this location. So I guess they used to base it on the post office. Never knew that.
I never knew that either.
So,
Well, I'm glad you explained the FOB because I knew the 10 mile. I knew, as long as I've known y'all, I knew what 10 mile was. I just didn't know what the FOB was.
So you can check out this website again and what Tara's doing, FOB-10-mile.com. And here are some of the facilities. And those students did such a tremendous job. And one thing, too, that I wanted to highlight, it wasn't just the tiny homes. You guys these kids built some sheds as well.
Yes. So what we've discovered along the way, that the cabin that's on the website is Billy Joe's. That's the first one. That's the one Roger built. But he also needed a storage building, and he also needed a cover for his boat and things like that. That's the whole point of FOB 10 Mile, is that these guys, and eventually if we get a lady in there, they don't want to go to an assisted living where they have to get rid of their boats and their fishing poles and their hunting rifles, and they want to be able to go outside and walk around and still be out in nature. They want to get in their boat and go fishing, and they can't do that when they're moved into a nursing home or an assisted living.
And there again was Tara Burnett of Hearts Veterans Museum. We appreciate her being on with us a little bit earlier this month as we highlighted all the great things that were happening there with Hearts Veterans Museum and also FOB 10 Mile. Tara has been just a treasure in our community, and we appreciate her very much and all that she does in making a difference. Again, it is Memorial Day today as we honor those that have fallen, who have given their lives in selfless sacrifice to protect our freedoms. There are a lot of events that are going on throughout the area, including some here in Huntsville that we wanted to talk about. One of the big ones that is happening, of course, is Hearts is having their Veterans Memorial Day program. That happening, I believe, later this evening. We're pulling it up on the website here on hellohuntsvilletx.com. It is on tonight from 7 to 8 o'clock. I'll pull that up on a tab here for you once we get this set up. But again, that event happening here tonight. So make sure if you have an opportunity to get out there to the Hearts Veterans Memorial Day Museum program, that is happening again tonight, starting at 7 o'clock. Free admission, by the way. They're going to have a special guest speaker, music, and a program. You can always find out about these events online. You can visit our website at hellohuntsvilletx.com. We'll step aside. We'll take a brief break, and when we come back, we'll wrap it up. Again, appreciate everybody being here with us this morning on a special episode of Good Morning Huntsville. It's made possible by our good friends at Walker County Federal Credit Union, and also our studio, as always, is presented by Elliott's Jewelers, online at elliotsjewelers.com. We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us. More to come this morning here on Good Morning Huntsville. Hey, good morning, Huntsville. Welcome back in on a special episode of Good Morning Huntsville. I'm Rob Hipp, your host. This show on Mondays made possible by our good friends at Walker County Federal Credit Union. They're your local hometown bank. It's not just a bank, it's a credit union where you're treated like a person, not a number. I have all of my accounts there, my personal accounts, my business accounts. Garen and all of the great staff at Walker County Federal Credit Union always go above and beyond to take care of you. They also offer business lending. So maybe you're starting a business in town or you already have an established business and you need some funding. Go by and see Walker County Federal Credit Union. They are closed today, of course, on Memorial Day, but open most of the time. You can go by and see them. And again, you will be treated like an individual, a person, someone important in the community. That's what Walker County Federal Credit Union does. They are great. And I can say that because I do have my accounts with them. Want to welcome in everybody, too. Thanks for joining us here this morning. David Beatty, Russell Humphrey, Vicki McKenzie chiming in on the Huntsville, Texas News and Events Group. She's saying earlier, it doesn't show up on our stream here, but Vicki said, we love our veterans. Thank you, Tara Burnett, for all you do for those that sacrifice for our freedom. Today, we honor them. And thank you, Vicki, for that message. Also, Jason Thompson of Guardian Defense. They are open today. I believe their shooting range is open today starting at 10 a.m. Jason, a good friend, also one of our Foundation 5 sponsors on Tuesday. So we'll be with Jason tomorrow morning. It'll be good to catch up with him again and hear all the great things that he is up to as well. Did want to remind you, I mentioned earlier about that event taking place with Hearts Veterans Museum. They are having the Memorial Day program tonight from 7 to 8 o'clock. And again, that is taking place. Free admission, special guest speaker, music, and a program all going on here tonight. And also, I believe this may have already got underway. We'll go through and look at the event here, but there is a Memorial Day 5K walk that is happening. That got underway actually about 38 minutes ago or so, happening every year. And this is in the Timberwild subdivision here in Huntsville. The race starting and finishing at 114 Timberwild. Again, that event is already underway. Maybe you missed these events. You didn't miss the one happening tonight over at Hearts Museum because it won't start until 7 o'clock. But you can go to our website at hellohuntsvilletx.com. Simply click on the events tab, and you're going to see all the upcoming events that are happening. And Charlie Used Cars having their 50th anniversary celebration coming up next week, and constantly adding events to the website. And so if you have an event that your business is having or that you are having, just go to hellohuntsvilletx.com and you can add these events. And of course, we moderate them to make sure, and we'll double check your information. But we post the events on our website, and that's something that is continuing to gain a lot of popularity. One new section that we are finally starting to unveil now, after we've been going for about a month or so, something that we really wanted to work on, is coming soon. And so Bridget and I actually had a chance yesterday to drive around town. We captured photos of a lot of projects happening here in Huntsville. And so we're going to start posting those. One of them, of course, Clean Car Wash is coming off 11th Street. And so we've posted an article and some updates on that. We've actually reached out to them for an ETA on when they're opening as well. But you'll be able to find out and keep up to date with all the latest and all the things happening here in Huntsville, Texas at hellohuntsvilletx.com. So make sure you visit that. And if you haven't liked the Facebook page already, please go through as well and like our Facebook page so we can keep you up to date with all things good happening here in Huntsville. Did want to remind you, too, we are giving away 4 tickets to the Vintage Market Days. We're giving those away every day this week, by the way. It is Vintage Market Days happening at the fairgrounds. We had our good friend Barb on earlier this past week to talk about it. And if you'd like to enter those tickets, we already had one register to win. And Jason Thompson, he did register to win. And so, Jason, you are in the running right now for those tickets. You can just simply comment, like, or comment with the hashtag with Visit Huntsville, Hello Huntsville. You can like this broadcast and then share it. You'll automatically be entered to win, just like Jason did a few moments ago. But we are giving away these tickets, 4 of them a day. So we've got 20 tickets to give away this week to the Northwest Houston. It is Vintage Market Days of Northwest Houston, but it's happening here in Huntsville. A great event getting started on Friday with early buying event from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The cool thing is you get your tickets, and by the way, they're good for the entire weekend. So, this is going to be a really exciting event happening coming up this weekend here in Huntsville. Over 100 vendors will be out at the fairgrounds. And again, you can enter to win 4 tickets today. All you have to do is put a hashtag on there and then like, comment, and share this broadcast, and you will automatically be entered to win. For more information on this event, go to vintagemarketdays.com. Again, that is vintagemarketdays.com. And we'll keep you up to date with all of the great things happening again throughout our community here in Huntsville and beyond. Again, let us know you're out there this morning. As always, we'd love to hear from you. We do get a lot of comments, a lot of feedback, a lot of interaction on this show. This is your show as we bring it to you every single weekday from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. It doesn't matter if it's Memorial Day or Christmas Day. We're going to be on the air. And just like today, some days it just may be a replay of a previous broadcast if it's on a holiday. But we always want to highlight those folks and all the good that is happening throughout Huntsville, Texas, as we are here. Hard to believe, on episode number 35 already, as this month is already winding down. Unofficial start of summer starting today. Well, as I always do on every day, too, want to mention, what is it the National Day of? Well, of course, we know today is Memorial Day. It's also National 529 Day. And just taking a look here at this, National 529 Day, reminding families and friends that it has never been easier to help save for a child's future. This kind of ties into Walker County Federal Credit Union in a way. By contributing to a 529 savings plan, you help prepare a child for whatever path they choose. Earnings grow tax-free on the federal level, and in most states, its savings are withdrawn to pay for qualified tuition and other expenses. So, again, it is National 529 Day today. Also, as we know, today is Memorial Day. National Paperclip Day is today as well. And so, look, maybe you got a lot of paper clips laying around. Well, this day, it's a day for you if you enjoy paper clips, a small but handy invention. Yes, even the paper clip has a day of honor. This day celebrates the well-known piece of curved wire that keeps our papers together and helps us stay organized. While many have claimed earlier invention of the paper clip, according to the Early Office Museum, Samuel B. Fay received the first patent for a bent wire paper clip in the United States in 1867. The original intention of Fay's clip was to attach tickets to fabric. However, U.S. patent number 64088 recognized that paper clips could also hold papers together. So it's National Paperclip Day today. Did not know that. And also International Day of UN Peacekeepers. So that is how things look on a Monday. Again, a little special episode today. We'll be back at it tomorrow as Jason Thompson of Guardian Defense joins us. And we will be live back in our studio that is sponsored by Elliott's Jewelers. Thanks to everybody for chiming in today. Caitlin sending a message earlier as well. We also had 0 Degree joining us, many others across the platform. And I do want to remind you as well that you can always go back and listen to episodes either through social media, through our YouTube channel, and also, hey, if you got a podcast platform through iHeart, through Google, Apple Podcasts, every single episode is archived on there for your listening enjoyment where you can go back anytime just in case you can't make it live. We've had a lot of folks saying, hey, Rob, I love the show, but I'm not able to listen live. Well, you can go and download that podcast format and listen on the go anywhere you are. Friends, again, thanks for joining us today on a Monday, a very happy Memorial Day, and we appreciate the sacrifice of all of those that have fought for our freedoms here in this country. As I end every single episode, I want to remind you this morning that we're not strong enough alone to make it on our own. We need each other. Provide a word of encouragement, lend a hand of support. Somebody out there needs you. Until next time, we'll see you. Have a wonderful and blessed Memorial Day. Good morning, Huntsville, and God bless. We'll see you tomorrow bright and early back at 7 a.m. Have a great day, everyone.